Welcome back. We are here with our panel of experts. Joining me in studio, Malik Abdul, GOP political analyst, Preston Bates, host of Business Matters Show, Chris Farrell, Director of Investigations at Judicial Watch, and Donna Jackson, member of Project 21. What a week. A joint session of Congress has formally certified Joe Biden's Electoral College win. Protesters forced a delay in the certification process, which also resulted in one woman being fatally shot by Capitol Police. MSNBC host Joe Scarborough went on to call for the arrest of President Trump, his son Donald Trump Jr., and attorney Rudy Giuliani for their roles in supposedly inciting the insurrection attempt. Here was his comment.
And if Donald Trump Jr., Rudy Giuliani, and Donald Trump are not arrested today for insurrection and taken to jail and booked, and if the Capitol Hill police do not go through every video and look at the face of every person that invaded our Capitol, and if they are not arrested and brought to justice today, then we are no longer a nation of laws.
Chris, what are your thoughts on this?
Joe Scarborough is unhinged. I mean, this is reckless language. It is no foundation in reality. This is just hate speech, right? This is another form of what they always accuse the right of. Gross exaggeration on his part. It's personal vendetta, and it's just bleeding out over the airwaves, making an unfortunate bad situation even worse, because now we've moved to the world of wild claims, use of police and law enforcement. It's just, this is the kind of stuff that creates more problems than it ever solves.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's ironic that he's calling for the Insurrection Act, but he himself is actually advocating to arrest the President of the United States. What do you think?
Welcome to the next 4 years. This doesn't surprise me that Joe Scarborough, he's one of many provocateurs. They have these moments where they create and everyone sits around panel and gazes up at them while they use all of these, very loaded language. The fact is that Joe Scarborough is one of many who for months now have essentially coddled protesters as they've gone out, not just to destroy property. We've had police officers who've actually been killed. We've had police officers who've been attacked during these protests, and for Joe Scarborough and many others to sit there and act as if now they care about the police, now they care about protests, now they care about using appropriate language, because now they're using the term domestic terrorism to respond to what happened on yesterday, but they would never use those terms to refer to all of the violence and chaos and destruction that we've seen from the Black Lives Matter.
I mean, where was Scarborough, excuse me, where was Scarborough in the Portland federal courthouse attack
When
for
the
months?
city was on fire.
For months.
Yeah.
Where was his outrage then? I'm sorry.
First of all, there's no invasion, there's no insurrection, but if this is the standard, then there's going to be a lot of Democrats joining them in prison. Don't forget about Maxine Warder, who told her supporters to attack Republicans wherever they see them. Don't forget about Bernie's bros, who went to a Capitol Hill game and shot up the field, shooting at Republicans, and shot a congressman who almost died. Don't forget about Eric Holder that said kick them when they're low. And AOC just said a lot of violent things that can be taken as violent. So if that's their standard, I mean, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be in jail for that, not just politicians, but all of the entertainers who've been calling for violence against Trump and Trump supporters for 4 years.
Preston, do you think that the left or the liberal media is trying to create an alternate reality from what actually happened versus what they want people to believe happened?
I think they've dog-fooded themselves to the point where they believe their own BS, so to speak. They're actually calling for the Insurrection Act to be used, which plays directly into Donald Trump's hands to say, the left's asking me for it. We're under Chi-Com martial law anyways. They're calling for the Insurrection Act. Let's just erase all the traitors. Let me take and acquire the domain name servers of Twitter and Facebook and Google and MSNBC and just use the emergency broadcast system, and let's put the evidence out there. These people are they're agitpropping, and so it serves no other function than to play into our narrative of law and order. at some point reality and their hyper reality are going to have to meet. If they think they can just pass a law or pass a House rule that says there's no he and there's no she, Republicans should pass a rule to say there are no white people, there is no racism, end of story, and just move on, because reality exists. 1 + 1 = 2, and I'm telling you right now, Christina, I was there at the Tea Party when it was founded. There is going to be a much bigger tidal wave this time around.
I think you're right. Either way, regardless of what happens. But House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer have called on Vice President Mike Pence and Trump's cabinet to remove Trump from office by invoking the 25th Amendment. Both have threatened to move forward with impeachment if Pence and the secretaries do not act. Here were Pelosi's remarks.
I join the Senate Democratic leader in calling on the Vice President to remove this president by immediately invoking the 25th Amendment. If the Vice President and the Cabinet do not act, the Congress may be prepared to move forward with impeachment. That is the overwhelming sentiment of my caucus.
This is absolutely bananas. Preston, what's your take?
You don't look at what they say, look at the impact, look at the reasoning, and reality is always inverted. They understand that Trump has more cards, and now that the crime has been cemented by Congress, and we know who all the traitors are, all the way down to the precinct level, President Trump has a duty and a duty to the Constitution to uphold and defend this society, this America, this Constitution against all traitors, domestic and enemies foreign. So, I'm told from that Dan Scavino's issue of Trump saying he's committing to a peaceful transition of power is simply to take the heat off of this 25th Amendment so that Trump can stay in for a few more weeks and exhaust other options that he has.
I think
the person who has to worry about the 25th Amendment is Joe Biden, because he'll be sworn in as president come January 20th, and there are forces at work seeking to remove him under
correct.
the 25th Amendment as quickly as humanly possible.
Yes, that is correct, and I do think that's right. But she was specifically talking about President Trump.
Oh yeah, but I'm just turning this.
They're trying to take everybody out so that they can be in power. Yeah,
We need to wait
whether
and see
it's
what
Trump,
happens
Biden,
until January 20 and see what the president hasn't exhausted his military options.
Yep.
There's a lot more options. We need to wait and see. But they wouldn't be issuing propaganda if they had reason and facts on their side. They don't have them.
You're exactly right. They're scared. That's why they're trying to run this out.
Yeah, I don't think that it's that sinister. I think that Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer are doing what they've done since Donald Trump has been in office, take an opportunity, capitalize on that opportunity to attack Donald Trump. They've actually talked about the 25th. We've heard stories about the 25th Amendment before. This isn't anything new.
Correct.
They're taking this opportunity because now it's a perfect opportunity to attack Donald Trump. And so the media is exaggerating this. They're lifting this, really amplifying this whole notion of 25th Amendment. This is an old story that they've done, but I do think it's important for us to acknowledge that what happened at the Capitol was wrong, and it's been roundly criticized by conservatives across all stripes. That's not what happens when these things actually happen on the left. They don't do that.
And they're trying to discredit his accomplishments. Before the pandemic hit, just for the African American community, record low unemployment. We had record mortgage starts. We had record high medium income. We had prison reform. We had faith-based outreach. We had permanent funding for historically black colleges. President Trump was resonating with minority communities, and they were afraid. So they're working towards getting this narrative out to discredit his accomplishment. And the fact that this economy is coming back this quickly is credit to the fact that he put through policies that strengthened our economy so that it was more resilient. It was able to withstand this type of crisis. When you had so many Democratic politicians and governors working to destroy it just to win an election.
Right. And Chris, I wanted to ask you, because I do agree with Preston's assessment that they're concerned and are trying to kick him out as quickly as possible because they're concerned that he still is the president of the United States and he's got cards to play. What do they gain? What do they gain by doing that?
Look, this is an effort to criminalize Trump and all things Trump. They are going to pour salt in the wound, thinking that they're going to erase all of the good history that we just had sort of a recap on. No COVID, Trump is reelected. So COVID comes in, changes the dynamic radically, changes the country radically, frankly. But now it's piling on time. And so the effort on the left is to take everything Trump people, Trump policies, Trump himself, Trump family members, and criminalize it. That is what the goal is, okay? And so the thrust is to snuff out. They want the lazy, sloppy, loser Republicans that have been in office for decades prior to Trump. They want the surrender caucus. They want the nice guys who go to the country club and don't really fight too much. That's the Republican Party Nancy Pelosi and her crowd are happy with.
They're controllable and they can manipulate
And they want to
it.
eradicate the guys who like to fight. And Trump likes to fight, and they want to criminalize that.
Yeah, he's already awoken the country. They're already there. But when we return, we'll discuss the new House rules and start the lightning round. We'll be right back.